court cases and appeals take a long time.
That's true.
And when billionaires are growing older and they're kind of erratic with donations, that they're not going to sit around for 3 or 4 or 5 years and wait for this, dysfunctional plot to unravel. And so my view is that when the university is defeated with the arena funding model and the different questions and then the challenges to eminent domain, that they will eventually start targeting other sites. And frankly, I think they could get harnessed into fixing Mac Court into a really state-of-the-art facility just because that is an enormously popular idea.
And is that your hope, is that your aim, that Mac Court be renovated rather than a new arena be constructed?
It's from the people I talk to around the campus about the issue, which are quite a few, and people of all types, everyone loves that concept, that Mac Court could be really state-of-the-art and maybe have even computers in the walls if they think it's necessary, but that if that kind of, the university could use all its best minds to redo Mac, that it would just be something they could be really proud of. And also it fits in with that whole sustainability thing because the building doesn't get trashed, it gets spruced up.
Yeah. That's interesting. As an aside, I was a basketball player in college, but on the East Coast, and I played in places like Madison Square Garden, and I've come out here, and Mac Court is probably my second favorite arena in the entire United States, next to the Palestra in Philadelphia. I think it's a wonderful place. The thing is hard to evaluate, however, is are there really safety issues presented by the current state of the structure, and is the best way to remedy those safety issues, if they exist, to tear it down and start anew, or to just stop using it? And that's something that it's really hard to evaluate. You almost have to have a structural engineer or other person with significant expertise to take a look at.
Well, I see it mostly as a framing trick. By the university president saying, this facility is worn out, take my word for it, game over, it becomes basically his reason for saying, okay, I want all the land, all the way almost to Glenwood. I want all this ODOT land, I want PC Market torn down, all that. So essentially the university wants a whole bunch of land and wants a brand new, what I consider a shadow campus. And their excuse for seizing all this land is that, we have this worn out arena that I say is no good. Okay. So that it's really just a trick.
So if I'm to interpret you correctly,
yeah,
you're really saying it's not really about the arena, but it's about, from your point of view, the university's acquisition of additional land, which will be used for whatever it will be used for, but it's really about acquisition rather than construction of a new arena.
And the transformation of the university into an entity which is collaborating in real estate deals with the city. See, if the university doesn't seize a bunch of land, they can't become public-private partners with the city and do this mixed-use development and really hatch up a real boondoggle along Franklin.
Do you have a reason to believe that the university has a desire to be involved in a mixed-use development?
Yeah, they've expressed that many times, and that's really the model that has been used up like in Portland. If you look at the South Waterfront District, the same architects are involved, the same Farkas is the guy that did the report in Fairmount. He planned the what's called the So What neighborhood, or the South Waterfront. And there's some problems with these condos and the subsidies, and it's unraveling in Portland. In fact, on today's paper is one of my favorite land use gurus on the front page of the Oregonian. His name is Randall O'Toole. And he shows how these boondoggles really leave the cities starved for basic services, except around the new districts.
And how would that apply here in Eugene?
Well, the university has a backlog in maintenance on the main campus of $150 million. The city has an estimated backlog in its potholes of $170 million. What this boondoggle along Franklin will do is both of them can leave those backlogs to just grow massively while they ignore everything else and then build this little kind of public-private Disneyland. And so the rest of the city pays the price. What's
the advantage to the university from walking away from required maintenance to acquire new land for new public-private partnership development?
If you were a rich donor, a billionaire, would you want to go into older buildings on campus that have asbestos, that may have seismic issues? No, you'd probably want sexy projects that let you reshape the community in dramatic ways and let you build your brand in a way that really leaves people with a kind of a mental takeover. For instance, along Franklin, they want a big tower near the arena. In my view, that's the kind of tower that could easily end up on the side of a shoe. There's a whole book right now called Who's Afraid of Niketown? This is done by a researcher who's watched Nike's urban interventions in Europe and projects that this is a company that is willing to take branding and reimagining cities to another level. And so this book is something I think it's really important for people to read in Eugene. It's hard to get your hands on, but you can find it used on the internet. And especially with the Olympics coming here, the city of Eugene and Nike and the U of O will be working closer and closer together. And so it's important to understand why these things are happening and to what level they will go, like eminent domain against private property owners, to rebrand the city and upgrade it to a Nike city.
So is it your guess that Phil Knight, by talking about donating $100 million, actually has some ultimate profit motive, or for either himself individually or for his company Nike in being involved in this arena project?
Well, similar to the way, like the house that they took down, I considered pretty important in my history. Well, Nike considers, Hayward Field really important in its history. If it's able to reshape the area around Hayward Field into a kind of seductive Nike experience, then that really helps them deepen their brand locally. And also, these are things that would last 100 years. Think of the ancient pyramids and the long history in architecture and art of people, making colossal monuments to themselves and trying to transform the public's mental state with them.
So that's your best guess, that Nike's looking to somehow convert this project into a monument to themselves.
And a research corridor where grad students can work on, say, smart fabrics, okay, these emerging fields that Nike and U of O and the computer industry can get together, and the kind of clothes where if you walk by a building and there's a billboard, your clothes might kind of respond to the billboard and send messages. It creates that art, or that clothing and architecture and computers it's kind of, there's a convergence taking place, and this would be a great research corridor for them to design their futuristic products.
Okay. Let me step back for a second. We all know that within the last 9 months or year or so, LTD has done a pretty significant development of a enhanced speed transportation system, namely